What's up, everybody? It's Jake with the Evolve Your Fitness podcast, and we're back this week with, do you call it Dr. Zach Rio?
You could. I don't, but you could. It's doctor to you.
Doctor to me. All right. We're here with Zach Rio, and we're here to talk about his physical therapy clinic and how he helps people get out of pain and how we make that work with our CrossFit gym. Zach has space in our building. He's been with us at the gym for a while, and so I begged him a couple of years ago to start a business to save me so he could rent from me in this building, and he obliged.
We're now codependent.
Yeah, right. So I guess I want to start off with, how do we know each other? Where does that all start? I'm not really sure where exactly it starts, but
many moons ago. It goes back, probably 13, 14, what is it, 20, 14 years, right? Maybe 13 years. But I don't remember a lot of it, because I think a lot of time that you were around or I was around, I had been drinking, right? And then it was like, at a bar in Rockford, and I think it was the first time I met you, and then but knew you by association from my old gym owner.
Yep. Yeah, Zach. I was coaching at CrossFit Rockford, and Zach was going to another gym, CrossFit This One, whom I still was friends and still am friends with the owner, Brandon Pastoric, and Zach was one of his athletes, and so we kind of got to know each other through that.
Use the term athlete loosely. Let's be honest.
Well, you did go to regionals on a team like myself. We were, we were in that last heat of the North Central Regional.
Best for last.
Yeah. Yeah. Great time to go get your popcorn. I'm trying to think of, I guess you want to fast forward to when you reached out to join the gym. I don't even actually remember what year that was now.
That was 2023. Yeah, it was 2 years this year. So I'd gotten fat a couple of times. It was in pretty good shape, right? Like going into PT school, it was all like, okay, cool. PT school kind of broke me a little bit, and so I didn't work out for a while. And then I was graduating PT school, and I was like, hey, I'm getting fat again. I joined another gym. I was only there for 6 months or something like that, and then I got fat again. And then COVID happened, and I was like, I'm gonna do some bodybuilding stuff, and that's not for me, as it turns out. And I live in this neighborhood, so I've driven by this location a bajillion times, and I was like, I got to stop in there. I really got to get in there. And so I think I text you. And I think it was probably the week of the games, because I think you were up in Madison or something like that, and you got back to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, good.
It was definitely the week of the games, because we also did our annual broathlon. I think we had just finished it when you came in, right? And I think you emailed me. I'm not sure. Maybe you did text me. I remember you just listed it as Zach, and I didn't realize it was you. But then as soon as you came in, I was like, oh yeah, I remember you.
How could I forget you? Yeah. And then it was really important to me to just get a feel for the gym, and because I said, I knew you. I didn't really know you though, right? It was we kind of by association more than anything. And then as it turned out, you and I jived pretty well, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna dig this. And so I joined, much to your dismay. 2 years later, you're like, yeah, God, that guy. And then that was it. That's 2 years later. Your boy's still kicking. You haven't killed me yet.
Tried many a time.
Almost succeeded.
Lots of toes to bar and legless rope climbs.
GHDs, running, getting up out of a chair.
Well, we kind of covered it, but loosely. But how long have you been doing CrossFit now? On and off, I guess.
Yeah, on and off. Since 2011 was the first time that I had stepped foot into a CrossFit gym. And then I did that for about 3.5 to 4 years before I stepped back for PT school. Then 3 years of PT school, I got another like 6 months randomly. And now again for about 2.5 years, or two and a quarter years now. I think it was August of 23 that I joined. So about in total, let's call it like 7 years of CrossFit, but
Okay. Yeah.
intermittently kind of spaced out there.
Yeah. I think that's pretty normal. I think people, take breaks, come back, take breaks, come back. You hear that a lot. It's, I think a lot of times people get into it. There's also the whole cycle of, especially if you're trying to be competitive, people go through that cycle of like being uber competitive, and then they get really burnt out, and then they take a break from it, and they're like, oh, this is too much. And then they kind of come back to a more even keel version of it.
Balance. That was that. My first 4 years, you didn't find anyone that drank the Kool-Aid harder than I did. I was beer bonging the CrossFit Kool-Aid, keg standing the CrossFit Kool-Aid, and
Man.
not that I don't think it's great, but yeah, it was. I went really hard, and it burned me out. It burned me out.
Yeah. It's it's inevitable. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Basketball, ping pong, I don't care what it is. If you're digging into it too deep, it will eventually burn you out, and you'll either, need to find a different version of it or take some time off, or sometimes a combination of the two. And that's all right. I think people get burnt out because I don't know, they're just tired, right? And then they take some time to reflect and realize how important the fitness is, and then come back to it with that more even keeled, obviously, as long as there's things out there to support that journey. So
the ebbs and flows. It's like the kind of the perspective of it too. Like you start out going really hard, and you go, okay, why am I really doing this? Like, okay, and then maybe I need to kind of get myself a little bit better balance to this, how I'm treating myself, because I'm doing this to be good to myself, but I've been so aggressive with it that now I'm not being good to myself anymore. Right? You gotta find balance in that.
Yeah, we've had a lot of elite athletes in the sport of CrossFit go through that, and I'm hoping with a couple of years, maybe they'll return back to a little more even keel and have a different viewpoint on it. Right now, it's not been happening quite as much. It seems like a lot more times than not, they're coming up with new hybrid versions of HIIT CrossFit without certain movements, or CrossFit hurt me, that kind of stuff. But
CrossFit didn't hurt you, you hurt you.
Kind of like you at the North Central Regional, huh?
There it is.
Yeah.
Put the clip up. Yeah. It was the bar, but it was the judge. The judge was just too close to me. Yeah, that's what it was. No, she was great. She was really nice.
For those of you who don't know, Zach had a squat clean that folded him like a cheap lawn chair, in a way that, I mean, if you would have drawn a chalk outline, you would have been like, somebody fell from a building and died here. And I love to bring the clip up probably once every 3 months.
The one of my favorite parts is like, it's not like a collective like gasp, but like you can kind of like hear like all of a sudden like everyone's like, oh, like it's just
I think I can remember maybe seeing that from across the room and being like, whoa, Jesus.
It was like a relay kind of a thing, and one of my buddies, and if he sees us and he can correct me, but I'm pretty sure my buddy Joe was standing next to a guy on another team, and the guy goes, oh God, is he all right? And Joe goes, yeah, he's fine. He's just an idiot, or he's just a moron, or whatever it is. And, tried and true. Get right back up and go after it again. Yeah.
Did it happen twice?
I failed multiple ones. I only got I got kicked. I got shot back. I think maybe once or twice. But the actual stapling was. I learned that lesson briefly. Well, don't embarrass yourself that bad twice. Yeah.
Well,
just
sometimes
once is enough.
sometimes it's hard. You're like, your adrenaline's going so bad that you're like, get back up and show you can lift this. And it's like, no, brother, slow down.
Well, and honestly, I don't think I had cleaned because it was a 225 squat clean. I don't think I had 220. I think 225 was new to me.
Mhm.
That was had to sell out leading up to that, like to get comfortable doing, because I was like proficient in lifting to an extent, but not in a place where I could just go and grab 225 and pull it up. Like that was like,
that was a heavy weight back then.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because now they're snatching that easily.
Yeah. Well, and God, I mean, you've seen my front squat, right? Saying no one's putting me on posters of front squat proper technique. They're putting me on posters for getting posterized by 225, but not for not for ideal technique of how to front squat either. Your boy's a little kind of forward when it comes to that thoracic stuff. So yeah.
No, you're a lot stronger now, I think, right? So I don't know if that could. I don't think that could happen again with 225.
Got that old man strength now.
Yeah, I was. Man, I had a thought while we were going through that squat clean. Oh, that just reminds me of. I remember one of my first competitions ever. There was a guy there that was kind of from my area, and there was like a workout with box overs, and I showed up and I saw this guy just trying so hard. He was like first couple minutes of the workout doing box overs like as fast as possible. And I watched him trip like 4 times on a single round. And I was like, oh my God, where's this guy's coach? Can somebody tell him to just slow down and take it easy? He's got 14 more minutes. like,
you don't want to mess up on a box more than once either. Those things eat your shins, man.
Oh man. He showed no signs of knowing that anything happened. He was so worked up. He was ready to get right back over it.
I think he's just like he's so motivated. I'm going for it. That was my first competition though. Like the regionals, like the first time I'd ever like.
Oh really?
I played sports. I played like tackle football when I was in 8th grade. That was it, unless you count Halo deathmatch at 2:00 in the morning as a sport. I didn't. That was the first time I'd ever competed in any stage. And then I go and
I thought you played hockey. You didn't play hockey?
I was like 9 to 10 and 11. Like it was like hockey when I was like a little kid or like younger, and then football, and then that was just Madden and Call of Duty and Halo after that. So, but so my first foray into as an adult in sport was me just getting my teeth knocked in by the regionals.
That's hilarious. I can only imagine the amount of Code Red that was drank.
I had a buddy got mouth sores from it, but not me. I had
oh my God.
Game Fuel, man, double experience weekend. Yeah. Shout out to double experience weekend and mouth sores from Mountain Dew.
I don't even know what that. I'm a video game idiot. Like I don't know anything about them. So I'm more of I occasionally play when I was a kid, I'd play like the Final Fantasy games, and like you play that and it takes like 100 hours and you beat it. And then you don't play. I wouldn't play another game for like 2 years until the next one came out.
The next one comes out. You struck me as like a closet WoW person, like I didn't really realize it, but there's Jake playing World of Warcraft, and make fun of people playing other video games. Like, not WoW. Don't you touch WoW.
If we lived in a town where we actually had like good internet access, maybe. But I don't know. That stuff I don't like repeating the same stuff over and over again. So like the storyline of like of an RPG that goes on and has a start and an end, more my style.
Gives the finality that you're looking for.
Yeah. And then it keeps me from playing it constantly, which is like, I just can't. Anything where I feel like I'm like wasting my time, it makes me like feel itchy and creeped out.
I developed that later in life, but until I was like 21, that's when it finally hit me. Like, you just spent 3 hours. This is honestly a true story. I spent 3 hours in real time running through a forest and was it like Oblivion or something like that, punching like forest creatures.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I set my controller down. I was like, what am I doing with my life? And I honestly, I don't think I turned on my PlayStation 3 since then. That was like, 14 years ago, 15 years ago.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah.
Still
you had
play
a
video
good,
games, just not that one. Yeah.
yeah,
That was
good
dumb.
hard cutoff. All right. Well, why did you want to start a PT clinic? Let's get into that.
Oh, here we go. Well, kind of a couple of reasons. I think the biggest reason for me is healthcare is tough for I think a lot of industries, right, or a lot of areas of healthcare right now. In my profession specifically, we're kind of getting this squeeze where they want, people are seeing more and more patients individually. So maybe 2 to 3 to 4 patients an hour. Some places more than that. You'll have a therapist see 30 patients in a day, and that's tough. It's tough for the therapist, obviously, and then it's tough for the patients, right? They're not getting like the care that they need or that they should be getting, truthfully. So that was like when you kind of brought it up, like that was a big draw to me. It's like I can set this up and I can see patients one-on-one, right? I don't have to answer to anyone other than me, and I can spend time like actually getting to like talk with patients too, like getting to get more into what's going on with them, which allows, again, you build a better relationship with your patient. You get a better idea for what their ailments are, what's going on with them. I love to talk. I love to talk with people. I love to just hear stories, just BS with people. Like that's it's what I do for work, basically. But anyway, all to say is I wanted to provide better care, right? I wanted to be able to do something that I felt like was more important. And then obviously you were like, hey, I want someone in here that knows what my people are doing. I want to be able to like not have somebody tell them like, well, you shouldn't be deadlifting. And it's like, well, you should be deadlifting, but maybe we just got to, back out of it for a little bit or modify for a little bit. And so the opportunity to work with athletes, and I, again, I use that term athlete widely, broadly, right? It could be, 85-year-olds could be an athlete, a CrossFit athlete, or it could be a 12-year-old could be an athlete, but just, people that are active and engaged in some sort of athletic endeavor, or more specifically to how you and I often interact is with people that are doing CrossFit, functional movement, whatever that looks like. Right.
And not as just to clarify, and not as a sport, just this could be, people who are doing in the regular class doing legless rope climbs and handstand walking, but it could also be people in our legends class who are doing things that are more looking like farmer carries and sled pushes and stuff like that.
Right.
Then we're just trying to improve function.
Yeah. And what's interesting about the population differences is oftentimes in another clinic setting, right, you'd get people who are just coming to you because their doctor told them that they PT can help you, or PT, let's try PT, and they're looking for you to fix, right? Not to get way off base here, but you talk about things like external locus control, internal locus control, like people who are wanting someone else to fix them versus people that are willing to fix themselves, right? And people that are willing to fix themselves oftentimes gravitate towards something like CrossFit, right? Where they're in control of their own kind of destiny, right? And so I love working with all the people from the gym and folks that we work out with in general, because they're like, I want this to get better, right? I will do anything to get this better. And the motivation of that population is very different. And in turn, therapy becomes more fun. It's just, you have having a more engaged population makes my job more fun, and it prevents me from getting burnt out. And I don't want to get burnt out because I love what I do, so that's kind of the impetus, kind of two-pronged is I don't like where healthcare is going from a standpoint of more with less. Medicare has been reducing reimbursement rates for 10 years running, basically. And then so clinics give you more and more patients. The patients are unhappy. The therapist gets burnt out. That alleviates this. And then being in this kind of location with the population I get to work with now is a more motivated population. So I look at it as a win-win. And I think I I've been having a ton of fun doing it. It's been awesome for me. So
Yeah. And would you say that like in a normal PT setting, the patient is mostly concerned with just getting out of pain, whereas in this setting, you're usually looking at people who are looking to get back to a function. Right? Like there are things that they want to do not in pain, right? And so you're still trying to get out of pain, but one just doesn't care if they get out of pain by sitting on the couch. The other is like, no, I want to be doing this and out of pain.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. Well, it's also like the difference too is like to answer your question. Yes, they're different populations. The one is like also okay. Like they almost understand, right? The people that like we work out with at the gym, right? They understand that pain is like part of getting better too.
Mhm.
Whereas, and they're willing to like to fight through that stuff to an extent, again within reason. And the other population is like is a population that, generally speaking, has not been an active population, and so like they just want you to stop hurting, but the work that comes with that sometimes is something they're not willing to endeavor because they don't want to maybe work as hard as it might take sometimes because it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable, right? When you've been in pain for a long time, the way things start to change, like everything's going to hurt to an extent.
Mhm.
I always tell my old people love it when I tell this to them. It's you have miles on the car. You don't have to take a car that's in the Midwest for 20 years, like a 99 Nissan Maxima, and
Oh my God, that thing.
it's going to make noise. It's going to squeak. It's going to rattle. Like we being pain free is this kind of like this notion that we all have from a time when we were younger. But realistically, you're probably never pain free. Maybe when you're little, but like you always had like some sort of ache, pain, and groan, and fighting through it is kind of overall something that just has to happen with life,
Mhm.
right? You don't get old and not be tough.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how it happens. You have to be tough to get old because it's not a pain-free experience. Everybody has some sort of pain that they're dealing with, physically usually, and oftentimes emotionally too. You usually help with us giving emotional pain or getting emotional pain, but
I do what I can.
yeah, you do great. You do good work. Out there doing the Lord's work.
uh, let's see here. All right. Well, so how can physical therapy help with the patient's condition? Then let's go over that.
Yeah, it's going to be dependent on a lot of factors, right? But oftentimes I have a lot of people like, well, I don't think therapy can help this. You get that a lot with in regards to maybe like beliefs people held onto. One I get most frequently is like, well, it's bone on bone. How is therapy going to help this? It's like, well, actually, there's a lot of research to suggest that arthritis is most benefited by exercise, not aggressive exercise, right? If I beat the hell out of you, it's not going to help you, but it can be very beneficial. Or something like, I don't know, plantar fasciitis, right? It's like we have this spectrum that we operate on where we have to just take a condition, evaluate it, right? You have to have an evaluation in therapy, but so we know what's going on. But knowing what's going to help you, got to know what got you there first, right?
Mhm.
And that's kind of like the point of seeing a PT right away. Anyways, like, is this something that we can help, or is it something that no matter what we do, it's not going to help you, right? When you come to me, you're like, I have this killer pain in my shoulder. It's like, oh, when did it start? It's like, oh, it came out of nowhere. Like, oh, hey, when does it go away? It never goes away. It's always there. It's aching. And God, I've been losing weight too. It's like, this isn't a shoulder problem. Like, we got to get you in for, we got to get you to see your doc. We got to get some other work done. Tell the patient this. Well, sometimes you do, if depending on how much import you think is on it. But it's like, you could have cancer. We want to make sure it's not cancer, or we want to make sure it's not a heart attack, whatever it is. So, but it always just kind of boils down to, what's going on, how did it start, what makes it better, what makes it worse, and then oftentimes getting into then like, how do we, where are you at in the stage of pain, right? There's a spectrum of it. Is it fresh? Is it new? Is it old? Do we need to take you out of pain first, or can I start working you in pain, right?
Mhm.
There's that kind of that spectrum there. Like, if you've been having back pain for 150 years. Guess what? I'm going to work you through pain.
Yeah.
But if you just came in, you're like, I was picking up my toddler, and now I have burning and tingling in my feet. Like, okay, well, we're gonna maybe treat that a little bit differently because you're so acute now. We gotta take you out of pain first, and try to get you to where you're more comfortable with movement and getting exposure to movement before we start moving you. Because a lot of people will say, well, I'm hurt, I got to stop moving. No. Right. You probably get that a ton, right?
We get it a lot. Yeah. And obviously we're not doing any physical therapy, but anything we can do to keep them moving, even if it's just sitting on the bike or, whatever ways that we can keep them moving. It's good for people mentally, for one. Good for them socially, getting in there with the group, for two. And then finally, all that circulation that's provided by continuing to work out, we have found can help to reduce some pain. Obviously, it's not going to help you right with something crazy acute. It's not going to take away that pain, but even some of those things, just moving around, sometimes they feel better.
Yeah. Well, it's a big chunk of my job is just getting people to that point, right? Just saying like, listen, like, I know that this is like, that you're like in it right now, right? That you're like in like this negative place because you hurt like hell, right? And I get it, right? No one wants to move when they hurt. It's like, if we can move a little bit, you're going to feel so much better, right? Just getting blood flow going, just getting, especially like the social aspect of sometimes pain, right? People will like, I'm sure people listening to this, right? That that person who's like, pain is their identity, right? Because they've now eradicated any sort of social interaction, right? Pain is this, pain is that. It's like, when people focus on pain too much is when it becomes a real big issue. If you don't ever recognize that pain is limiting you, the outcomes are so much better. It really is. Like you read a chart, sometimes you go, oh, this person's I'm in trouble when I see this person, and they come in and they're the kind of person who's like, that pain's not going to get me. Like, I'm not. I have a patient one time that said they refused some quote from some famous person. I forget, like, refused to let the old man in or something like that. I forget what it was. And because I was like groaning as I was getting down, I was like, I had a rough one today. And he goes, you grunt a lot when you get down. I'm like, I haven't seen this guy for a while. So I'm like, oh God, he's been paying attention. He goes, you got to refuse to let the old man in. And I'm like, but it's true, right? You get that, when you let pain start to dictate who you are, now all of a sudden pain gets a lot worse. And just by moving someone after they get hurt, right, you start to do stuff with them right away. It's like you're maybe, like you said, you're not doing physical therapy, but you're doing physical therapy. That's important stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I just did a little quick Google. It might be Toby Keith. Don't let the old man in.
Is that who it is?
Well, that's a song. I don't know. But then I see
What's up, King?
Then I see. Oh gosh, what is this?
He died, didn't he? Yeah, he died this year. Yeah.
Toby Keith.
Yeah, didn't he?
I
got it on the computer right now. Pull it up.
Oh, let me scroll down. Well, all I see what looks like Gran Torino on here, so I'm like, I don't know if that actually.
Now we're just watching Clint Eastwood movies for the next hour. Well, that's a long movie. The next 3 hours, we're all going to together watch Gran Torino.
Toby Keith. Let's see here. Yeah, he did pass away. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'm a big country music person, so obviously.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
It's like there's only one music that I don't listen to in the gym. That's country.
God bless you for it too. Oh God.
There are a couple songs that tickle my fancy. I forget.
That's Alan Jackson's Chattahoochee, but you're welcome.
I think it's the Montgomery Boys or something like that. Like Hell Yeah, maybe. Hell Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyway, sorry, we got totally off topic there, but yeah, not letting pain be our identity and not focusing on it can actually be help on the outcomes too, right?
Yeah,
is what you're saying, sir.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the original question was like when is a good time to like see a PT, or when should somebody check it out? It's like, or would it help? But either way, it's like the answer is probably yes to some extent. And that's just the kind of the job of like the initial evaluation is oftentimes like getting a feel for what someone's like, right? Like, is this musculoskeletal pain? Could it benefit from PT? Again, more often than not, yes, but there is definitely a subset of cases where you go, I want you to get this checked out. Let's get you off to your primary care doc, get some more testing on, or let's go have, Ortho Illinois check this out. Maybe I suspect you have a fracture, right? And at that point, having a fracture is like, well, we got to make sure it's stable first before we do anything. You got to start the healing process before we do too much stuff. But
yeah,
go ahead.
Key is knowing your scope, right?
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
And that's kind of how we work together as well, right? We try to, if somebody's having a problem and their insurance lines up with you and they're interested, I try to get them to, I recommend they get an appointment with you, and you do an assessment, and then as long as they're okay with it, we talk about it and try to figure out what movements we need to throw out, what movements we need to do unloaded, stuff like that. And we kind of, then from there, I leave it to you to build them back up to a level of the movement that we can do in the gym that makes sense. And we find substitutes in the meantime.
Which, by the way, is we do a lot of like home exercise programs in therapy. I don't have to do a lot of them here, right? Because it's like, if the patient's goal that you and I kind of coordinate a little bit, and knowing they show up and they're doing the work here, it's like having it's like an extension of like PT, but like honestly so much better though too, right? Like I've told you this before, like I've had a lot of conversations with people who don't understand like progressive overload and principles that are super important to therapy. And like, I'd trust you with a ton of my patients, right? Like there's like, again, I wouldn't never put you on like what do you think is going on with this person? Like could be cancer, but like, if I'm gonna give somebody some great exposure to something or get them doing something, like you're better at it than so many other people that are in the field that I work in. And you and I chop it up on ideas for different things too, because I'm like, I don't think about these things, right? Like there's like you have a really good idea. It's like we can collaborate and go, oh, that's actually a really great way to break that down. Like that's a phenomenal, like, again, I joked about codependence earlier, but it makes a really big difference too for the patients or your clients, my patients, however you want to call them. Like, that's a huge benefit to the person that's in between both of us, because now they get a really, really good stimulus, but it's not so much that it's going to hurt them. I mean, again, at times you have to work into it, but like it's not so much going to hurt them, but they're only going to benefit from it in the long run, right?
Yeah.
When we look at patients who are like, God, how many post-ops, have you seen as a coach? And they have probably been told by their PTs, like, you're way ahead of the curve, right? And it's from them showing up consistently and you being able to go, listen, yeah, I'm not gonna treat that shoulder, but guess what you're gonna do? I'm gonna work it, and I can still trust that this and this will have that global benefit on the system, right? And that's a huge thing for patients. It's a huge benefit.
And it makes for a nice smooth transition, right? A lot of times I find that when you're not working with the PT or the doctor or whoever, it's a all or nothing thing. You cannot do this now. Go do it to the fullest. It's not like there's never a hey, let's lead into this, and then us as coaches of the gym, we have to kind of make that up as we go along and make sure that we're safe with the person coming back, which requires a lot more thought and effort than I thought I was putting into it to make sure that they're safe. But it's a lot better if you could just work with the physical therapist throughout the entire process.
Yes, it allows, like you said, it's not like a drop off a cliff then, right? Where they're not like, okay, you can't do any pull-ups, and then it's one day it's like, okay, you're doing pull-ups, like, wait a minute, what? I thought we weren't allowed to do this. Like,
and then you're like, what did you guys?
Me.
Yeah,
what does that mean?
You're asking, well, what did they do to build this movement pattern up? I don't think we did anything like that. And you're like, oh, okay, all right, so we'll start from there. And that's a part of the problem with the healthcare system, as you were saying earlier, right? Not enough time, not enough a high enough, I find a lot of times with physical therapy, sometimes not a high enough standard for what, we get clients all the time that they get released from their physical therapist and they're like, I do like, they said I was good, but I don't feel like we got back to anything like I was at before. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, they're not used to people being functioning like you,
Yeah. Well,
you know?
and it's a continuum, right? Like you have like this, we're like our profession's really good at like the really low level kind of like function, right? Like,
Mhm.
honest to God, like one of the things I'll never forget is just like teaching someone to learning to teach someone how to like roll in bed. And I was like, are we sure about this? But and then you encounter a patient who cannot roll in bed. And it's like, and now I got to have the patient that's like, I can't string my 6 muscle up together. Right. When I start doing this, I get pain. It's like, all right, rolling in bed, doing a ring muscle up. Okay. I don't know. And that's why a lot of times you like that if you just go to a place where it's a lot of general population, not that they're not capable of doing it, but they don't spend enough time there. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't spend a lot of time there. And I got into an argument one time with a PT that I didn't work with. Like I had kind of worked with her. She told me that no one should ever overhead press
Mhm. I remember us talking
anything.
about
It is
this.
a 2 pound dumbbell. And I was like excuse me now? And like, it was like one of those, just like, but that was, she had a surgeon who she was close with or worked with who said that. And surgeons are great at repairing tissue. They're great at understanding the anatomy and the medicine aspect of that. But surgeons don't do rehab.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so when they say that stuff to patients, it can make a big impact on them. And it's like, and again, there's times and places too, right? They're like, okay, well, you can't reach overhead. You have like a reverse shoulder. It's like, okay, now you have like some limitations secondary to that. But there's also like okay, well, let's not. Yeah, it was wild. Anyway, it was basically this thing where I was like, so you don't think this person should ever lift anything above their head? Like,
Which is impossible to avoid. Throughout life, you're gonna have to get things off, of shelves and stuff like that. And the weaker you are, the heavier those things feel.
yeah,
Right. And there's nuance to that, right? And sometimes hearing this makes me wonder if the doctor said something very specific, like they didn't like the behind the neck barbell shoulder press or something like that, and then the person just goes, no pressing at all,
she
and that's a whole nother matter with doctors and physical therapists and patients. Like they don't have the full spectrum of knowledge to pull out the nuance sometimes out of what is told to them, right?
And you encounter that a lot too. Where like, did the doctor actually say that? Probably not. I assume that this doctor did because I was talking to another PT. The PT's like, oh, if you met with so and so, and I was like, I'd argue with them too. I guess I don't know what
Yeah,
to tell you
yeah.
on that one. But no, with patients too, you're like, I don't think the doctor would tell you that because again, a lot of a lot of doctors will like they'll know like, well, whatever the therapist tells you, that's kind of what that's their wheelhouse, and
Mhm.
vice versa. Like I don't do surgery. Like I don't.
Yeah, yeah. You're not
I
gonna
like I'll recommend surgery. Like if I'm working with someone and they're like, I'm just not getting better and it's my pain's bad and I'm getting weaker. It's like, okay, we got to get you off to a surgeon, right? We got to
Mhm.
see if they can do something for you. But yeah, we generally, right? Try not to paint with too broad of a brush here, but like generally, like again, scope of practice, right? You're like, it's not mine. Surgeon would be a way better resource on this than I am. Like, well, what kind of surgery should I get? Talk to the surgeon. They,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
might do this. It depends on what shows up, but yeah, don't lift overhead. Oh my!
Well,
Don't pick that apple off that tree. You don't get to eat today. What?
yeah. I
Sorry,
mean,
get me all fired up.
it's that way with all movements, right? Like a deadlift is just picking something up off the ground.
Oh God.
Um, it's yeah. The movements we do in here are normally mirrored after real life movements that are going to make you that you're going to need to use. And
Yeah.
like you said, there's graded exposure with how much can they handle right now and everything. But as you get weaker, right? If you at some point you could get weak enough that picking up a pencil off the ground is your max deadlift. Um,
think
so
think think about yeah, like the impact of not picking things up off the ground.
mhm,
You can do this. You probably do this with your clients, I'm sure. Maybe not to the extent that I have to do it sometimes with patients, but I had a lady one time. She was filling out a questionnaire that's some sort of requirement for Medicare or something like that, and it's like, "Can you pick a bag of groceries up off the floor?" She said, "No." I was like, "What do you mean no? Like, I just watched you lift your purse." And he's like, and it's like, so I literally just went and grabbed a plastic bag, like, "Pick this up." She goes, "Okay, well, not that one I can, but not the ones at home." Like, how much are you filling up your groceries? Like,
yeah,
you need to keep doing this, by the way. This is important. Like where does where do you let this cycle stop? There's the same thing
mhm,
with people getting into chairs. They keep choosing a higher and higher and a higher and a higher chair till one day they're like, I can't sit. The only chair I can sit is my recliner at home because it lifts me up out of there. It's like,
mhm.
well, we got a problem. Like, you got to move. You got to move. Like, there's a lot of bad things that'll happen when you stop. Right? You don't have
Yeah,
to.
and
Go ahead.
barring a major injury, right? People get like, oh, um, I can't squat that deep. It hurts my knees. And it's like, okay, well, we'll squat to where you can and we'll build that up. And then probably what we see happen is that the knees feel better then at a deeper range and a deeper range. But the
Mm-hmm.
reverse also becomes true is if you avoid it, the squat gets shallower and shallower and the pain is still there. And it's
Yep.
really just you getting weaker and weaker.
Yeah, and you're tensioning the tissue less and less, and your tissue is becoming less and less adept to handling those loads. Uh, and sometimes you have to go through a little bit of pain to get. It's like an on ramp of a highway.
Mhm.
You're not just starting out at 100 miles an hour,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you gotta slowly build it back up and to get back into it. And sometimes you maybe go the wrong way, and you gotta, man, like that's then what you and I then do, right? I'm usually on that lower end of it. You're on the higher end of, okay, Ferrari's back up to 150 now. Like, here we
Yeah.
go.
Well,
So
and then for those that don't realize this, I know a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are clients of mine and understand it. But in the gym or in your clinic, those are the only times that things are super measurable and balanced and whatever else too. So it's the best setting to learn those things.
yeah,
When you pick a box up off the shelf and it's got I don't know, say 3 cans of spray paint in it, and they're all rolling around, nothing about that's balanced. You don't know how it's going to catch on the shelf you're pulling it off of. When you deadlift a kettlebell off the floor, we know exactly how high it is. We know that it's going to be balanced when you pick it up. We know exactly how many pounds it is. Within, I don't know, whatever Rogue's tolerances are, within a half a pound or something. But it's so measurable, and that's why those settings are so important compared to real life, because you can't, when you go to move something at home, you have no idea how heavy it is. You have no idea where to grab it half the time or what the best place to grab it is. And that's why building the strength in here or in your clinic is so important, right?
yeah. Or, by
You
the
know, we,
way, you're pulling that thing off the shelf, and oops, there's actually 150 lead weights in there, and the shelf is supporting most of it. As soon as it comes off, you're like, oh my god,
oh yeah,
I gotta
yeah,
support this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's yeah, that's a tough way to go about it. Shoot, I mean, Ashley, we always store her. She like switches out her clothes, summer, spring, fall, all that stuff. And oh my God, me going up on a ladder, grabbing that stuff off the top is like miserable. And it's probably like some of the lighter things I lift within a day, but the awkwardness of it and being up on a ladder, I just like think to myself, I don't know how people do this and aren't like fairly strong and fit and everything.
Do you need a ladder with your chimpanzee arms, or can you just kind of tiptoe it a little bit?
I, I mean, I can catch most stuff, but we got some pretty high shelves in our house. I don't know who made our cabinets, but they're way up there that sometimes,
90-inch tall cabinets.
yeah, I don't have to get up there very often because we put the useless stuff up there, but every once in a while you're just like, ah, shit. And I sometimes I'll get up on the counter because I'm too lazy to go find Ashley's stool that she uses to get on the counter or get to the counter. But yeah. let's go into different types of ways that you treat conditions. We've been over kind of loosely been over graded exposure and what else did we cover? Progressive overload, right? Which why don't we start there and just explain that in a real quick way?
Yeah, those are, I mean, those are probably the most important concepts in therapy in general, in my opinion. And
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a forum somewhere where people would like to argue about it. And I think it's valuable arguments to be had, but I think graded exposure, which is, you know, to an extent, kind of the same thing as progressive overload, is the most important thing, right? Starting you where you're at, meeting you where you're currently at, and then bringing you along from there, and
Mhm.
kind of, it's a stepwise progression, right? That's the cool thing about the body is you give it a stress, and it then meets that stress and it adapts, and that takes time, right? This is the same reason why, you know, you can, you know, bench pressing for 20 reps tomorrow morning. You know, it's going to be, yeah, gotcha.
Hey, who knows that's going to be tomorrow? It might
Oh
be on Saturday.
yeah. Now you're going to change the programming. But like, you know, that's why when you start out at one load, and in a few weeks from then, it becomes easier and easier. It's why we work out, right? And that's the most probably important principle in any rehab period is, if you don't have function, here's how we're going to meet it. And
Mhm.
that's why kind of like the marriage of, you know, my clinic and your gym matter the most, is, again, like you're talking about, bridging that gap is where it happens most importantly. And then from there, we kind of talked about like pain modulation, right? Bringing pain down in an acute sense. This is, we're going to ruffle some feathers here. And that turns into, like, again, like, how do we bring pain down is oftentimes like soft tissue mobilization stuff, right? AKA a fancy word for massage, quieting the system, or joint manipulation, you know, taking joints, mobilizing them through like a small range of motion, sometimes cracking joints, right? Like cracking backs, cracking backs, necks, sometimes hips. Um, you basically mobilizing things so that, utilizing the features that come with that to bring pain down.
You could also use that as a um, that could technically be an aspect of progressive overload too, right? If the only way to go through the range of motion then is to do it passively,
Yeah.
right? Passively moving through the range of motion. And
Yep.
we just to cover this really quick, because I want people to make sure that they understand when we're talking about progressive overload, or what's the fancy PT term you use? Graded exposure. That's what it it it's not just weights for those listening out there. Like, it's not just, oh, we'll start with a 1 pound weight and build our way to a 100 pound weight. It's also um, ranges of motion. You know, so shortening the range of motion. Sometimes maybe no range of motion, doing isometrics, right?
Yep. Yep.
And what other, you know, do you have other ways?
Yeah, we'll do things like, well, one of the, I guess, is like passive range of motion is like probably like the easiest one, right? Just where
Mhm.
somebody's moving it for you, right? Just letting the joint move a little bit. Isometrics is like a working out version of it, right? Where it's like you're creating contraction, but we're not moving the range of the joint, because if the joint's intolerant to the range. Like actual, again, soft tissue mobilization sometimes quiets the system a little bit, right? Gives it that stimulus. One of the things I'll use sometimes too is like dry needling, and that's like for all intents and purposes, it's like acupuncture, and that's to
Mhm.
basically, again, quiets the system again. It helps
That's
to,
a hot topic right now. That's
yeah,
everybody's gonna be
yeah,
scared of that.
yeah.
Did you hear
TJ
about
Watt,
yeah.
yes, yes.
I
Oh
saw
God,
I saw that,
yeah.
and all I could think about was like, I feel like poor Zach's gonna be answering questions about this for a while.
You know, it's funny. I was talking to a patient about it yesterday. I brought it up. Yeah, he didn't even realize. I was like, yeah, get a load of this one. And it's like the first thing you talk about in that course is safety, right? It's
Mhm.
literally or depending on the course that you take, but it's literally like a 3 hour long, like, when is it appropriate? And more importantly, how do you not create an issue with it, right? What are the most important things to not do? And it's like, you know, be very aware of where you're doing and how you're doing it. And that's just like, clearly somebody got a little bit too ambitious, and it's like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
come on, you know, the guy's a multi-million-dollar athlete who's the best on his team, one of the best in the league. It's like, oh God, Great. Here we go. Now unpack this a little bit. Yeah.
I do feel a little bit bad for the therapist because they could have done that 10,000 times, but now they'll be known for the one time.
Yeah. Yep. All the work I've done, I've been saving lives, and this is what you remember.
Yeah. So it's
it's
I don't know enough about it to comment. I saw that, and all I could think about is you would get people asking questions about that specifically, and you having to basically guess at what might have happened or whatever. And it's but you got to talk about it because people,
my understanding is that it's a and I could be wrong, but I heard it was like a pneumothorax. So basically somebody went in an angle or went in a direction they shouldn't go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's pretty simple. In certain areas of the body, you don't angle at vital organs. I don't know, wild concept, right? And so it somehow must have gotten there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like, this is one of those things this is what I was telling the patient yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever it was. I was like, I angle it away always because I don't want that to happen, right?
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I could get a response link for it. It's like, is it that important? That very specific response is probably not that important to the overarching thing. So it's like, you just remove the risk of it altogether, and now you don't have that issue anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can't wait for. I'm sure I'll field more questions at some point where it's like, or maybe as it peters out, it won't be an issue. But it's like bring it to the forefront. Like we could have gotten like a third stringer. You had to get TJ Watt. I'm kidding. Yeah. I don't want anyone hurt. Yeah. Had to be the best in the league. One of the best in the league. Yeah. So
when you're talking about pain modulation, I think that's what the term was. Sorry if I said it wrong, but you're using like manual therapy, like massage, which for those that don't know, we also have. Not only do we have Zach, but we also have Emma, who's one of our coaches who does massage, kind of out of the same space. It's like adjacent, but you do manual manipulations, which includes like cracking, which most people would associate with a chiropractic nature, right?
Yep.
Similar but different, right?
Is
that a good way to say it?
Yeah, similar but different, right?
Yeah, and then you use the dry needling to, you said, kind of elicit a response out of a certain musculature, and then get it to calm down from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of times too, like pain, right? Trying to reduce pain is just kind of like this overarching feature of how can we do it, right? Mm-hmm. I don't need to use like I'm not married to one specific concept so much as I'm married to the idea that we need to bring pain down. Right. Mm-hmm. And that can look like a lot of things. A lot of people use heat packs, right? A hot pack is a really great way to do it. Or a lot of people use stim. And those are great ways to do that. It's just, I like joint mobilization. I like soft tissue stuff. I like needling because I think that you can get good benefits. But if you stall out there, then sometimes you go, okay, yeah, we got to change course, right? You mm-hmm. should always be kind of assessing what's going on with your patient, and then directing care from there. If they're not responding well, why are they not responding well? Mm-hmm. But yeah, bringing pain down is basically just like, how do we, I don't say trick the nervous system, but how do you trick the nervous system into not giving you the signals that are allowing you to only focus on pain, like we talked about earlier, right? If we mm-hmm. can get pain out, then great. Sometimes pain has to be there, but if we can quiet it down, if we can dampen that signaling, because that's all it is. It's just a microphone that's picking up everything mm-hmm. In a lot of instances. And then can we dampen that signal so it's not the overarching and overbearing, right, to a lot of people. And sometimes it's just a matter of addressing it, right? That's why when you talk about like putting someone on a bike if they're hurt at the gym, it's like just moving can have that same effect. That's why movement's so important too. Is like just being an active participant in your life and getting some exercise in actually quiets that system down a little bit. So it's a really important. It's not. A lot of people probably argue on like there'll probably be like a physical therapy conference where people are on stage, like well, this is dumb. Well, you're dumb for thinking that. But then, again, tongue in cheek and all that, but like people get into online real arguments about this. And it's like, this doesn't matter. Research doesn't support this. Well, research doesn't support that. And it's like, you and I have talked about this before. Like, you can find research to support anything you want to, but people fall through the cracks, right? We all make up the bell curve. The bell curve is never the same. We're all like that aberration, but together we make up this really nice kind of.
And you don't want to be dogmatic about your approach.
No, because with good science, you should change your approach too, right? As you learn new information, you should be able to reflect back and go, maybe I should do this a little bit differently. Otherwise, you're not evolving your fitness.
There you go.
I can do marketing for you.
A lot of times the research is behind the anecdotal results too, right? Like that's what points people to start sniffing around for research is, that's the tale as old as time with lifting. They come out with a study and they're like, hey, it turns out this works. And some guy's like, we've been doing that for 20 fucking years.
Yeah. You got some guy and it's been like, you're getting jacked off of whatever it is. And he's like, of course it gets you big. Why wouldn't it get you big? You're like, but now we know for sure. It's like, okay, we don't care, right? We're beyond that now. Yeah. And it's like that anecdotal piece is like, I notice this happens. Let's investigate it now. And again, sometimes it works for some people, sometimes it doesn't for others. It's just, do you have that person? Is that person going to be responding to this? Maybe, maybe not. Is it the same thing probably with what you do, right? It's like, is this person going to be, is this person going to be able to squat below parallel? And they have retroverted hips. So no, of course they can't squat below parallel because you understand that the anatomy is really important to function, right?
I don't know. I've seen that video. I think you're fine.
Well, the weight really compressed it,
Yeah, you could not only squat below parallel, but you can get butt to ground from what I saw in that video. Let me think here. Oh, yeah, I think a lot of times people who use anecdotal evidence get a bad rap, and of course, it's like a great argument that, well, that's anecdotal, but I sometimes I just shake my head at that because I'm like, well, isn't that how everything starts off? Like nobody, you have to try it first and it's got to work on something. And then you go, well, let's see if something's behind this. So I always think that's interesting because I'm like, that's how how do you think your research started to begin with? Because it worked and people were talking about it and somebody was like, yeah, we should check this out, huh? Like,
why does this happen? I don't know. Let's not even bother to look into it, though. It's like,
so
these concepts just didn't exist out of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just it wasn't just one day. It's like this is how we have to do everything now. It's like no, it worked for someone. That someone got curious, or somebody got curious about why it worked for that someone, and then we just again keep digging and digging and digging, and then you go, hey, you know what? This doesn't work for everyone. And statistically speaking, it didn't work, period. It's like, wait a minute. Why did it work that one time? It's like, well, that was a placebo. Was it? Or did we just not measure it well enough? Or, again, I hate that. It's like if I can harness somebody's belief in themselves, that's a pretty good reason to do something, though, too.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like sometimes our studies, the way the information gets spit out the back end lacks the nuance to explain the full results. It's always kind of like a yes or no as opposed to like varying grades, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's like, well, it didn't meet the confidence interval of 95% or 99%. And I get it, right? Because you should have something that like a hurdle that says like, yes, this met what was required. But then other times too, you're like, again, do I want to leave the people behind that might have benefited from this? And it doesn't show up statistically because it's not statistically significant. And truth be told, maybe I'm not smart enough in the statistics to argue this the correct way, but I think it matters. I think it matters that there are some people that just don't, right? I'm the guy who, like the bad thing, like not bad thing, but like the aberration always happens. Like, well, I call the help desk, like, hello, this isn't working. Well, what's going on? Like, well, this is happening. Well, that's weird. It's always like, I'm always like, well, that's kind of bizarre. And it's like, what about the people that's kind of bizarre for? Like, you got to try a lot of things. You see what sticks. Like, okay, that worked. Let's ride that wave now, because clearly this is something that you're really benefiting from.
Yeah, especially if it's not risking any harm or anything like that. You know, leave no stone unturned.
Yeah, and that's just like it's evolution of my career. Like when I got out of PT school, I was like hard aligned, like exercise only, like because there's at the time it was sexy to think that manual therapy didn't do anything, and there's still a lot of camps that believe that. But it's like I had to go back. This one time I cracked this one guy's back because I was just like, I don't know what to do with this guy. Let's just try this. And he swore he'd been getting therapy for like 8 weeks, and he swore that it was the thing that helped him. He goes, ever since you did it, I've been good. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to tell this guy? Like, well, sir, the research said, yeah, this isn't beneficial for you. That guy didn't care. He was a Chrysler worker that had been in pain for, so long. And he was like, that was the thing I needed. And he was like, it was funny because he was not like a very like, like he wasn't the kind of guy that would give praise either. Like he was like this grizzled, like 25 years on the Chrysler floor. Like he was just like, whatever, this guy's like, and he was like, he was so happy with me. And I had to like do a lot of like introspection and be like, okay, yes, maybe this does help some people. And so again, there's just tools in toolbox, I guess. I hate that phrase, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Well, especially if it allows you to dig deeper down the path that you prefer to go to, right? Where with building up the great exposure and everything else. It's just,
If it gets people back to what they're doing, do I care if some research article somewhere said that it doesn't help them? But they go, no, that's what helped me. That helped me turn the corner. And now I can lift my grandkids. Now I can do my ring muscle up. Now I can, insert task here that you want to do, that my job is to get you back to doing that thing that you want to do. I don't care how I get you there. I care that we got you there. And you do too, by the way, right? Or I shouldn't speak for my patients, but it's like someone doesn't care. There's like, hey, that was awesome. Like I'm feeling better now, or I'm moving better now, because it doesn't have to be pain, right? Sometimes it's just like, hey, feel like I'm moving different now, and I just want to tackle it before it becomes a problem. Like take a look. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's see what we can do for you. So
awesome. Well, we covered a lot. I know you got to get out of here. We're at an hour now, so I'll let you go. But I'm sure sometime we'll have you back on, and we'll delve deeper into some more topics.
Yeah, I look forward to that. But real quick, you forgot to ask me what I did for training today. Nothing.
Oh yeah. Why is that?
Well, what it is I loved the 5:45 a.m. on Thursdays, and just however long ago it got taken off the schedule. So I just do nothing now. I might go eat some donuts to help myself cope.
I'm sure you loved one-on-one training sessions at 5:45.
It was great. We talked about a lot of important concepts. We cured a lot of problems at 5:45 in the morning on Thursdays.
I think we probably talked more than you actually worked out half the time.
It's what I needed though to get me to where I need to be.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, anything to get stuff done.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And have a good day.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yep. Thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this and learned some new things. We'll see you next week. And remember, more protein, less bullshit. Thanks. Bye.